Hello and welcome to Prepping with Darrin. This is actually episode 1. Last week it was just the intro podcast. This week I wanted to talk about the basics of being prepared and what you can do today to get better prepared. Sure, we all fantasize about the zombies coming and get us all, or a nuclear attack. There's really a lot of things that can go wrong. With food storage, you don't really want to store food that you won't eat and that you don't normally eat. Otherwise, you're just really wasting money. Let's say you buy 100 pounds of beans and rice, but you don't eat beans and rice. Well, odds are you've just wasted some money with that. If you can food, then you know what you'll be eating and what you can stock up on. It is kind of hard to get 6 months to a year's worth of food stored up. If you need to start out with just at least 3 days, go from there. There's just too many people that don't even have 3 days worth of food. Now with food storage, you can also do like freeze-dried packages in Mylar bags or MREs. I wouldn't suggest living off MREs. They get old after a while. Not actually go bad, but if you eat MREs day in and day out for 6 months, you're going to be in a hurting. Now, space is something that we all run into issues with. As far as me, I live in an apartment, so space is very limited. We can't store a whole bunch of water, and we can't really store a whole bunch of food. We got about a month's worth of water, about 3 weeks worth of food, but that's pretty much all that we can store. We've thought about selling some of our junk that we don't even use anymore. That would save some space, but we've also been talking about moving next couple of years, so we're kind of playing the field on that. Remember that food that you actually can yourself, you have to be careful on the temperature ranges that you leave the cans in. If it's too hot or too cold, it can go bad. What would you do if you ended up losing your job? You go into work one day and doors are closed. Do you have food and water stored? Do you have money set back? School's just right around the corner for most of us. And if you were to lose your job, that'd make things very difficult. Then you also got to worry about, Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff coming up next couple of months. You want to have at least $1,000 in savings. That can be very hard to get, especially if you're paycheck to paycheck. The best thing to do would be to budget out some money, either weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, just however often you do get paid. But you do want to be putting at least a little bit into savings. You want to have at least $1,000 on hand. Stuff happens, vehicles break down, tires go flat, or you might need to use a deductible because you got into a wreck, or medical expenses. They get very expensive too. When's the last time you had to take your vehicle to the shop? Mine went down a couple of months ago, and it was right under $500 to get it all fixed. That being said, it would have been a lot cheaper if I actually took it in before it it went completely out, but I was kind of reluctant to get it into the shop. I didn't want to pay that much extra money to do something I can do myself. But before I moved to the apartment, when I got off the road, actually before I went over the road, I always worked on my own vehicles, changed out any kind of parts for them, tires, alternators, starters and stuff like that, fuel pumps. There's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself that'll save time and money. Well, not really save much time, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But if you can learn to work on your own vehicles and actually have the tools to do that, that was my issue, is I don't have the tools anymore. I've got a few, but what had actually happened with the truck was the wheel bearing. Well, we're not sure if it was the wheel bearing that locked up first, or if it was the brakes that locked up, and then it snapped the wheel bearing, or snapped the axle and messed up the wheel bearing. We're not sure. It just kind of all went out at once. It could have been something that would have cost me like maybe $120 to take it to the shop at the very beginning, but I was reluctant, and it costed me right about 400, or no, right about $500. So that ate up the savings that I had set back. Right around the same time too, I was missing a lot of work. I ended up having a lot of health issues. So between missing work and the vehicles going out, and then having to pay for all the doctor's fees and stuff, that adds up quick. The wife's car ended up having to get 2 new tires. That was almost $230, I think, getting the new tires and getting them mounted and balanced out. So if we didn't have the food stored up, we didn't really have an issue with water, because it's city water. Every once in a while it'll go out when they're having to change out pipes or something. But usually we can just use a couple of the jugs that we have of water if need be. But if we didn't have food stocked up, then that would have been pretty hard, because we were spending so much money, plus going through our savings and missing work and all that stuff. It kind of like a snowball effect, really. Now we have a 17-month-old son. He is still in diapers, so that's another thing we've been working on, was getting stocked up on diapers. We don't buy the small, like 60-pack diapers. We try and buy in bulk. And you can spend $25 for a pack of like 100, I think about 110 of his diapers, size 6. Or you can spend, like $9.80 something to buy a small pack. We don't buy the small packs. We try and buy in bulk with everything that we can get. It's really cheaper that way. It is kind of more expensive up front, but in the long run it will pay off. And that's just like with meat, hamburger meat. We'll get that 10-pound roll and just toss the rest of it in the freezer that we don't use, and we'll split it up, usually either 1 or 2 pound sections. That way it'll go farther that way too. Wipes is another thing that we buy in bulk with as well. You can get a big pack of, I think, like 8 packs of wipes. You can do like 5 or 8 packs of wipes instead of just buying like the 3 or single packs. You really want to try and buy in bulk with everything that you can get. There's some food stores that you can buy in bulk as well, like Sam's. There are some different places like U.S. Foods. I know the one in Oklahoma City I delivered to, they actually had quite a bit of stuff that you can buy in bulk with. Toilet paper and paper towels is another thing that we like to get stocked up on. We try and have at least about 2 or 3 weeks worth. Dish soap, or not dish soap, but laundry soap. I actually make the laundry soap from home, so we have a gallon bucket of it, and that lasts, really not too sure how long it lasts, but it's quite a while. That is also another good way to save money as well. I know for most, times are pretty tight right now, all the way across the board, really. Jobs are getting harder to find in most areas, but if you have a job, you want to do everything that you can to keep it. I know sometimes there's just no way around it, but show up to work on time or earlier than scheduled. Do the best that you can. Maybe you'll make the cut. I used to work in a machine shop, and I know a couple years ago when the John Deere, they had some issues, and that kind of ran down the hill to us, and we ended up having to lay off some people. And luckily, I made the cut. You just never really know anymore if your job's secure. So you do definitely want to go ahead and get stocked up on food and water. At least as best that you can. You can store stuff under your beds, closets, cabinets and stuff. Or if you have your own place, a shed, just gotta make sure it doesn't get too hot or too cold. Batteries are another good thing to keep on hand. We don't have every battery out there, but we have just the ones that we use, like 123As, little coin batteries, those flat round ones, double A's, triple A's, D's, stuff like that, 9-volt. We try and keep some on hand, and they last, I think, for about 5 years without going bad. Some stuff we go through batteries quite often, and other stuff we don't. So you just gotta estimate how much you'll need in any given time. Batteries can be expensive, so if you can, get those when you got the extra money. With fuel, what we do is every week we'll put $50 on a gas card with Walmart, just a gift card. Now, I know that some places don't do that at Murphy's, but around here we have Murphy's at the Walmarts. So what we do is we'll just put the money on a gas card or a gift card and use it at the fuel pump when we need gas. Now, another thing with gas is you don't want to get under a half a tank. I know used to I would run on empty, but it is really hard on the vehicle, especially the fuel pump. So if you can keep the tanks at least half full, preferably full until you can get to where you can do that. It'll be hard. You just kind of gotta weigh your options on what you can do and can't do. You don't want to end up buying $1,000 worth of food and 2 weeks later the electricity goes out because you couldn't pay the bill. And that is another thing as well. Electricity bills, they do go up and down. You want to do your best to conserve energy. I mean, if you got the extra money, then I don't think you're really worried about it. But I know a lot of people have issues because the price fluctuates. Well, not the price per kilowatt, but the amount that you get to pay each month fluctuates. So what you want to do is really just unplug stuff. If you're not using it, unplug it. That's something I used to do. I don't anymore. It is quite a hassle. And with us, we're on a power grid, so for those that's off grid, you should already be unplugging everything because that will drain your power. One of the best things that you can do financially for you and your family is get rid of debt. I know most of my life I've always been in debt, and it's really hard to get out once you get in it, especially when, if you lose a job or you get a pay cut, that makes things more difficult. So what you really want to do is do your best to get debt-free. Now, mortgage is a different thing. It's kind of hard to go without getting a mortgage, unless you make a lot of money. But if you can get rid of like the car payments, truck payment, student loans is another one. Can get real expensive. Any kind of loans, personal loans, any kind of advances as well, like those payday loans. Once you get started with those, it's hard to get out of it. Just kind of a cycle, really. I don't suggest getting payday loans. Do the best that you can to not have to get a loan at all. If you can save $1,000, and you should be pretty well set. But you do want to try and save as much money as you can. If you get $1,000 in savings, then what you want to do is build up like a month's worth of bills in your bank account. That way, you'll have that on hand. Just pretty much keep saving and saving and saving. Now, I'm not saying to never spend anything or go out and have some fun, but you don't want to be blowing all your money. I was the same way. Me and my wife, we blew through every bit of money we had. I know casinos are real bad around here. Don't go to those anymore. Those places will suck you dry. Also remember that with water, you want to have at least a gallon per person per day. Now you can get away with a half gallon, but if you're not going to be doing any cleaning, washing any dishes or anything like that, then you can get away with a half gallon per person per day. But if you can go ahead and go with a gallon per person per day, you'd be in a lot better shape. Another thing is keep cash on you. Sometimes card readers go down. If you don't have any cash on you, you won't be able to get that gas that you need or get the food that you need to get before you head home. Keep at least $20 on you, more if you can, and try not to spend it. You really want to just keep that money on you at all times, because you never know when, something will happen. Power goes out at the store, and they can't ring you up with debit cards or credit cards, and they can only take cash. So be sure to keep extra money on you as well. $20 to $40 is pretty good. The reason why we do the fuel card the way we do with Walmart gift card, in our state you can save 3 cents per gallon. In other states I think it's 5, and if you get a credit card it's like 12 cents. So some states. Now, with that being said, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really suggest getting the credit cards or anything, but don't forget that I'll be coming out with a product review for the Coleman 40 quart thermoelectric cooler. And I've also got some other reviews, product reviews. You can find those on the website as well, at preppingwithdarrin.com/product reviews. It also has links to the videos on YouTube that I have. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. You can find the link at the homepage or at any of the pages at the top on the top menu. It'll say newsletter. Just click on that. It'll take you to the sign up page. You can sign up from there. I send out weekly newsletters for, well, anytime I upload an article, I'll send one out. Or if I find something that is at a pretty good price that I think would be good for you, I'll send an email out. But I haven't done that yet. Nothing's really piqued my interest with it. You know, and I don't want to spam your mailbox, so I try to just keep it down to one email a week on the newsletter. You can find the show notes at preppingwithdarrin.com/E001. If you have any ideas or tips for basic prepping ideas, go ahead and leave a comment below. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/preppingwithdarrin. Twitter, we're at PREP with Darrin.